Hey guys, welcome back. Okay, today I'm going to be talking about 10 must-have games for the Master System. Master System is an awesome machine. It came out to rival the Nintendo or the NES, the grey square toaster. Now there was loads and loads, hundreds and hundreds for the Master System, especially over here in the UK. They released loads of games, and I can't go through them all, but I've picked out 10 that if you've got to have in your collection, a definite must in your collection, and they're for specific reasons as well. So let's have a look. So the first one is Castlevania. Nah, just kidding. Castle of Illusion, Mickey Mouse. Now this one, I've chosen this one because it's a great platformer. It's one of the first games to come out that was in the Disney sort of section. There was the Donald Ducks, the Jungle Book. And there's a few of the Mickey Mouse ones, and this one I find to be one of the best ones. Now the layouts of the platforms are set out really well. It's one of those games. There's a lot to keep you going, and you'll keep coming back for it. Even when you've finished it, you like to go back and play it again. If you've not collected all the gems, you like to go back and collect all the gems. It's just one of them games. It really does. Absolutely amazing graphics for an 8-bit machine. This is really good graphics. A great use of colours as well on the Master System. It's one of the best uses of some of the best graphics, I think, as well. It might be a bit basic, but the animation on Mickey Mouse itself is really good, really good indeed. And I just find the bosses are very imaginative, and there's quite a few levels to choose from as well. Just when you think you finished the game, there's another level to do. It's one of those games you're not going to finish it on your first sitting. You might finish it second, third or fourth, but then you want to go back to it as well. And I do find that Mickey Mouse Castle of Illusion is definitely a must for your collection. I highly recommend it, and it's pretty cheap as well. You can get it probably like £10 with instructions, £10-15 with instructions. But yeah, definitely Mickey Mouse. The next one I'm going to go with is Gauntlet. Gauntlet. The reason I've chosen Gauntlet is, well, it is still pretty cheap. It's not one of those games that you're going to finish overnight. You're not going to finish it straight away. The longevity of this game is going to keep you going. It's your dungeon crawler for those who haven't played it. It's one of those, you've got your, as you're going through dungeons, each dungeon is randomly generated after, I think it's level 8, I think. You're not going to get the same gameplay each time. 4 characters to choose from. You've got your barbarian, your Valkyrie, your elf, your wizard. Each one has their different stats. You've got your generators where monsters keep regenerating. If you don't destroy the generators, they keep regenerating. So the idea is to get rid of the generators first. You've got to get through a lot of monsters to get through them. But I tend to find this one was really good. It is, it was 2 players simultaneous as well, and still pretty cheap. If you're looking for it with instructions, £10-15, maybe even cheaper. Definitely one for your collection, and I still like this today. 2 players simultaneous, definitely. Let's have a look. So we've got 512 rounds, 512 scenes, 1 or 2 players simultaneous. Yeah, I really recommend this one. It's probably the best 8-bit version I've seen. Highly recommend it for your collection. Now, the next one, the reason I've chosen this one as well, Double Dragon. Now, Double Dragon is it's one of those. There is a lot of nostalgia in this. I used to look at this, I'd see this in the shops and think, oh, I really want this. And then one day I could go home and play this with my friends. I didn't have any friends, but I really could, go home and play 2 players simultaneous. It was, a pretty good version as well. Yeah, this is the NES version, and that was good. But I just like this one. I think there's got a lot of charm to it as well. Yeah, there's a bit of sprite flicker on the screen when there's so many sprites on there. Yeah, you might be able to finish this first time around. All 4 levels are there. Everything's pretty much present. It just carries on all the way through the levels. And I just find that the use of music as well. Music gets a bit tinny every now and then. You can turn it down if you want to, but I still find that this one is definitely if you 2 players as well. That if you've got a friend, you can have some real good fun with it because you can beat each other up while trying to play the game as well. It gets really annoying. You're like, oh, get lost, stop beating me up, hit the baddies, and it gets like that. I tend to find though that definitely it's pretty cheap as well, especially if you want it with instructions. £10-15, maybe even cheaper. Highly recommend it. Definitely one for having in your collection. Now, my next one I've chosen. Now, this one I really do like. This is probably my top 5. Not a lot of people like this version. I think this is really good. For me, Ghouls and Ghosts. Now, they knocked it up a notch. They knew they weren't going to get as better quality graphics as in the arcade. They knew that when they made this. They knew they weren't going to get, you know, the great sound or great quality graphics compared to the arcade. You know, it's an 8-bit machine compared to a 16-bit game. Now, what they have done is this one is they've kept all the levels in there. You have to do it twice around, so you go all the way to the end, and then you have to go back again. You've got to get your Psycho Force firepower to actually defeat Loki sat on his chair. Now, the reason I do like this one, there's a bit of RPG element into it. They made it kind of like a Wonder Boy Monsterland. You've got when you destroy your chest pop up. When you destroy him and you get the vampire, whatever his name is, it turns you into a duck or an old man. And then every now and then on every third chest it opens a door. You go into the door and there's certain things. One, you can actually have access to upgraded armor and upgraded weapons, which is fantastic. Second one is you can recover your health back or magic. And I find that is a really good sort of RPG element, and I did enjoy this one. It's one of those games that I like to go all the way through. I think it's unlimited continues as well, like all the way through and finish it, and then, you know, a couple of months later I like to go all the way through it again. It's just one of them games that just really has that, it's got a lot of charm to it. Like I say, it's not as good as the 16-bit Mega Drive version or the PC Engine version, but I do love this game. It is really, really good for me. Highly recommend it in your collection. The next one I'm going to go with is Psycho Fox. Yeah, Psycho Fox. I think Psycho Fox it goes under the radar. Not many people like this one. Yeah, it's a platformer. When you know, I did a little sort of episode on this with the Psycho Fox kind of family games, and I for an 8-bit machine or an 8-bit game, I find this is one that's gone under the radar. Not many people do like it. When you start running, it takes a while to get your speed up. Yeah, people find that annoying. It has got some good challenges as well, and each boss is pretty good and makes you think about how to get there. It's also got, it's kind of to rival Mario. There are hidden warp zones in there as well. Also, you can change into certain characters. You change into a hippo, a monkey, or a tiger. Tiger runs fast, monkey jumps high, the hippo can break certain blocks, and the fox is just a good all-rounder. And it's one of those that I definitely recommend, probably going for about £20 with instructions. Keep your eye out for it, but it is a great platform indeed. So that's the first 5. Next 5 I'm going to go with, once again, just to remind you that these aren't any particular order. They're not the 10 best, but definitely must have for your collection. The next one I'm going to go with is Sonic the Hedgehog 1. Now, I didn't choose Sonic the Hedgehog 2 or Sonic Chaos. I chose Sonic 1. I think it's a good all-rounder. They changed it differently to the Mega Drive version, which made it even better. So if you've got the Mega Drive version, you've got the Master System version, you've got a completely different game. It's not as fast as the Mega Drive version. It doesn't give you that blast processing, as they call it. But once again, good use of sort of levels, how they've been laid out. I think it's really good. And the music is pretty great as well. And it's one of those games that you'll get so far, if you don't finish it, you try again, go back to the beginning and start all the way again and try again. I do find this one, it does have a lot of charm to it, and as soon as I've got a Master System again, I decided this is one of the first games I've got to get. Got to get it back, definitely. It was one that I did enjoy, and it's one of those I do keep coming back for. If you fancy a little blast, if you're not playing Mickey Mouse, try Sonic 1. Highly recommend it, definitely. Still pretty cheap as well. You know, well, in the UK, in America, it's probably one of the most expensive because it is one of the last games that they did for the Master System. And Master Systems play imports pretty easily. So maybe just get the UK version, the PAL version. Definitely recommend it. The next one is going to have to be, we've gone with RPG. Now some will say, oh yeah, Phantasy Star. I do agree with that, but I'm going to go with Golden Axe Warrior. Golden Axe Warrior, the reason I like this, some people say it's a Zelda clone. Yeah, it is a Zelda clone. You know, if there was a Zelda 2 top-down dungeon style game instead of the 2D side view, Golden Axe Warrior would be the game. Now this one is quite a bit expensive. It's probably, I wouldn't say one of the most, but it is quite high up there with being an expensive game for the Master System, but very worth it indeed. It is frustrating because you can get so far and die. Once you've got the maps laid out and you know where you're going, know what you're doing, yeah, it does become a game that is really really quality to play. Highly recommend getting it in your collection now. It's you know you've got like, I think a grid of like 20 by 10. Big map layout, and it's one of those a bit of a Metroidvania. You can't go any further until you've got like your axe, and when you get axe you can cut down trees, and then later on you go into a dungeon, and you can get your boat, and then when you got your boat you can go on shallow water, and then when you got your shallow water boat there's a ship. When you get your ship you can go on deep water, and each area opens up more and more. I think it's like 8 sort of, there's 7, I think it's 7 crystals or 8 crystals to collect, and then you've got the 8th dungeon to get. Now the beauty about this is as well, every time you enter a dungeon it tells you which number dungeon it is on the first page, so you can't kind of go wrong. A lot of areas, there's almost hidden things in every area. Break down a tree or break down a rock. Highly recommend it, definitely worth getting. Next one I'm going to go with is definitely probably the best shoot 'em up ever for the Master System. That's my opinion. There are other good shoot 'em ups. Yeah, there is Super Alesti or Alesti. I've got to go with RType. RType for me, yeah, I just find this has so much charm to it. And the machine tries hard. The machine really does try hard to create the arcade. Now, it's not as good as the arcade version. We know that. It's an 8-bit machine. But still recommend it. It is probably one of the best shooters, like I say. All the bosses are there. All the levels are there as well. Okay. And you know, there is a bit of flicker in there, sprite flicker, and just slow down a little bit, but it doesn't put you off. It's a good use of colours as well. Some great backgrounds, some great big sprites in there, especially some of the bosses. You know, definitely recommend it. Great use of colour. So, you know, fantastic game, fantastic. So, the next one I'm going to go with, we've got to have a beat 'em up, and I've gone with Streets of Rage. Streets of Rage, okay, let's talk about the downside. It's only one player, not 2 players simultaneous. But you know what? Doesn't matter. Yeah, I don't care. I don't have any friends. But I found this one was pretty good. Probably one of the best beat 'em ups for the Master System. I don't think some people say Streets of Rage 2 for the Master System. I find that dropped a bit. I tend to find that Streets of Rage 1 was definitely one for me. It's still pretty cheap as well. You can get it for £20–30. All the characters are there. Blaze, Axel and Adam. You know, I do find this one great use of colours, and when you see it on the screen and you realise, you know, you actually see it playing itself for the first time, you do get a sense of you playing a good beat 'em up. It's got a lot of good charm to it as well. Highly recommend it. Definitely one to have in your collection. My final one I'm going to go with, I've chosen, it's one of my favourites, pretty obvious I think if you've watched any of my programs, but Wonder Boy 3 The Dragon's Trap. Now, this is a Metroidvania before Metroidvania came out, or Metroidvania was a thing. This is a Metroidvania. It's one of those that, you know, areas open up more and more as you go through. You start off as Shion, a green-haired guy with a sword and shield. You get turned into a dragon by the Mecha Dragon. It finishes off where Wonder Boy Monsterland started. And you turn into a dragon. You've got to get the, what's it called, crossback? I can't even remember it now. And you then you've got to go through each level, each area to get further and further. Then you turn into a mouse, and then you turn into Piranha Man, then you turn into Lion Man, and then you turn into Hawkman, and you kill Hawkman. You can finally fly and go up and get the last sort of area section, and you have to kill the vampire dragon. Now there's like 5 or 6 dragons to kill overall. Very good. This is probably the best graphics I have ever seen on a Master System. It is absolutely brilliant. It's one of the first games I ever chose. When I got my Master System, I think I got it for 7 games. I saw this, I didn't know anything about this. The only time I'd read it, it was in a Mean Machines magazine, which gave it something like 95%. I was hooked. Just looking at the graphics, this looked awesome. For a Master System, it reminded me of such an arcade game. Highly recommend it. It's still pretty cheap as well if you haven't got Wonder Boy in your collection. So guys, that's 10 must-have games for the Master System. Like I say, They're not the 10 best, although some of them you probably find they are. But 10 must-have games for the Master System. Like I say, there's probably another 10 and another 10 and another 10 I could use. Loads to choose from, but I've just chosen them. It's probably going to be another 10. But anyway, guys, thanks for watching. Don't forget, leave us a like, leave us a comment, let me know your thoughts. What's your top, must-have games you should have for a Master System when you first buy one? So guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.